Hello and welcome. Oh, there we go. There's my camera. Hello and welcome everyone to the Real Watchers live stream for April 22nd, 2026. Hope you're all doing well today. You may notice that I am alone this evening. Unfortunately, our beloved co-host Kevin is not feeling too well today. So I'm wishing that he hopefully gets well or gets better very soon. Excuse me. But he may join us in the chat. Who knows? But hopefully Kevin's doing all right. Want to see him get better soon. We'll still have our movie club and everything going on for this week, so don't worry about that. But that's pretty much why I am alone this evening. But aside from that, it's been a pretty good week for me. Kevin and I were actually just at a concert last night, which was a total blast. Kevin and I got to go see one of our favorite bands, Electric Callboy, out at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles. So that was really fun yesterday. It was a really good time. And I'm sure it may not have been the best idea for him to go out there if he wasn't feeling well, but damn it, we paid for those tickets and we were going to go. So, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I'm the one that's going to have to kind of go through everything. So we'll just go ahead and jump into the news for today. Up first, Joseph Kosinski will not be returning to direct Top Gun 3, the sequel to Maverick. No idea why. I'm sure he's just kind of wanted to move on and do other things. Don't really know what his next movie is. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll be another movie full of exciting cinematography and daring stunts, kind of like F1 and Top Gun Maverick. So no idea who's going to direct it, but hopefully it's someone good that can make a worthwhile sequel. So let me see here. I think the music is a little too low. There we go. But up next, the new Chucky film, which we talked about last week, which was just announced, will be directed by series creator Don Mancini, and it will be the first film he's directed in the franchise since 2017's Cult of Chucky. This is, like I said, coming off the news that we are getting a brand new Chucky film that is said to be scarier, kind of be a reboot of sorts, kind of like what the other reboot was with Mark Hamill playing Chucky, and it was more like a robot or an AI or whatever. But hopefully this is more in line with the series' original spirit, and we'll see if it's any good. So, but some pretty big news here. The Elden Ring film, which has started production, is going to be released on March 3rd, 2028. And the full cast has been revealed and includes, but is not limited to, Kit Connor, Kaylee Spaney, and Nick Offerman, among a bunch of other people. And this film is also being filmed for IMAX, so which is awesome. A24 hasn't really had a filmed for IMAX film yet, except for Civil War, which was the same director. So really exciting stuff here. I'm beyond stoked for this movie, and I can't wait to see how it is. In other news, Evil Dead Burn is now releasing on July 10th, which is being moved up 2 weeks from July 24th. We did, in fact, get a trailer for this as well this week. A very brief trailer, but a very effective one as well. Really setting up the tone, because I was wondering what the Evil Dead Burn meant kind of as a title. So hopefully we're getting some more information, but it looks pretty crazy. So next up, though, Amazon is reportedly developing a live-action Fern Gully film, meaning either a remake or a reboot of the series, which, I mean, okay, I don't have the nostalgic feelings for this one that a lot of other people do. I think I watched this for the first time this year or last year. I know I got it for a Wheelspin movie. But, I mean, sure. I mean, if they can make it interesting. The problem is that Fern Gully is just Avatar, which is just Dances with Wolves, which is just Pocahontas. It's all the same story, really. So, and you're not going to be able to replace the villain with Tim Curry. So, who knows? But next up, Godzilla Minus One is returning to theaters on May 22nd, 2026. I did mention in the article that this was AMC theaters, so I don't know if it's specifically AMC. But if you do have AMC near you, it's at least going to be there. So it might be in Regal, might be at Cinemark, might be at the others. But if you want to see this movie again before Godzilla Minus Zero comes out later this year, you have the chance to. So going to get brushed up on it on the big screen. So, which, I mean, I know Kevin, Nadia, and I will probably go see Godzilla Minus Zero when that comes out in theaters too. But moving right along, Gears of War, the film, has a script draft done. And the director, which is Chad Stahelski, or David Leitch, or Chad Stahelski, it's going to drive me nuts. The Gears of War film director is David Leitch, who is one of the creators of John Wick, also known for Deadpool 2 and Bullet Train, has said that the final, not a final, but a script draft has been completed, and that Netflix is fully committed to making this film as good as it can be. Which is some really positive news, given the fact that most video game adaptations, I would say it's 50-50 now. Some of them seem to be really high kind of effort productions. Things like the Sonic films are very well beloved by fans. The Super Mario Brothers movies, while not necessarily good movies, are really beloved by fans as well. So, but then you also get things like Borderlands or Minecraft or Five Nights at Freddy's, which they're just objectively terrible. So, kind of interesting to see if we can actually get something good out of this. We've been waiting for a Gears of War movie for, gosh, at least 15 years now. So, but next up, Jordan Peele's next film is still being written. The director of Nope, Us, and Get Out, as his next film currently still in the writing process. According to some sources that I was reading in the article, the studio is not too thrilled that it's still being written, but his films are very well written, so it does take time. You can't rush, I don't want to say genius, but you don't want to rush a good thing. You know, just make it as good as possible, and then we'll get, hopefully we'll get it then. But still excited we are getting another one from him, and he's not just resorting to producing and running Monkey Paw. Jackass 5 is officially titled Jackass Best and Last. This comes to us from CinemaCon last week, which that presentation was either the night of the stream last week or the day after. But we officially have the title now. It's coming out in June, so very much excited for this. We also, if you live here in California, you heard about there was a giant explosion out near the Simi Valley, I want to say. And it turns out that giant explosion was the filming of the last stunt for the movie, which makes me just even more excited. So I can't wait. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 will start production soon, with Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich teasing the return of their characters. And for those of you who didn't see Five Nights at Freddy's 2, obviously Matthew Lillard plays the big bad guy, kind of the Voldemort of the series, and Skeet Ulrich plays a child's father who was killed by, I believe his name's William Afton. But they're the main two guys from the original Scream. So it's been it was hyped up that they were going to be in the same movie together again, and we'll get them again in 3. So, but it is starting production soon, probably going to come out next year, I think, from what we talked about a couple weeks ago. Another piece of CinemaCon news here. The still untitled Call of Duty movie is scheduled for release on June 30th, 2028. This is coming from director Peter Berg, who gave us films like Lone Survivor and Patriots Day. But is also being written by Taylor Sheridan, who is the creator of Yellowstone and 1926 and all those, which is really exciting because he's a very good writer, at least from the things that I've seen that he's done. So hopefully this is treated with some sort of kind of reverence and respect. Hopefully it's some sort of like more grounded military movie, but who knows if they'll go more kind of blockbustery with it. Some exciting news here for fans of the original, but World War Z is finally, supposedly, getting its sequel. The Brad Pitt zombie movie that everyone seems to either really enjoy or really not enjoy is supposed to be getting a sequel soon. No idea what it's about, what it's going to entail, but we'll have to wait and see as soon as we get any more news. But apparently it is being developed, written, whatever you want to call it. And lastly, a new Tom and Jerry movie called The Forbidden Compass will finally arrive in U.S. theaters on September 9th of this year. We'll have no competition on the weekend it comes out, so it might be the box office leader. I believe, from what I saw in the article, this film debuted in China first before coming here to the U.S. So we'll see if it's any good. So, but that is it for all the news this week. Thank you for bearing through. Joey, is Jordan's film going to be 1 or 2 syllable? No idea yet. I mean, if we want to follow the pattern, it was Get Out, then us than no. So he was going down. Maybe it won't even have a syllable. Maybe it'll just be a number. Who knows? Or maybe it'll go crazy. Like the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus or something. Who knows? But yeah, no idea yet. We don't even know what it's about because he's still writing the movie. But that's it for the movie news. Thank you for the comments. Let's go ahead and get into what's streaming this week. So Send Help is scheduled to start streaming on May 7th, exclusively on Hulu and Disney Plus, because it is a Fox movie. So you'll be able to check it out on Disney Plus or Hulu, both of them, on May 7th. The 2024 Nosferatu is now streaming on Peacock, which is great because it's a Universal movie. Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken is now streaming on Peacock as well. Him is now on Netflix, the sports kind of horror movie that neither Kevin or I really liked. Dust Bunny is now out on HBO Max, a surprisingly fun kind of children's action fantasy, little bit of a horror movie. Really enjoyed that one far more than I thought I was going to, so I would recommend checking it out. Last Christmas is now streaming on Hulu, and finally, Arizona is now available officially to stream on Netflix, a dark comedy with, I believe, Danny McBride and Seth Rogen. So that is it for the now streaming segment. Let's go ahead and talk about the trailers that came out this week, and we had a lot of trailers that came out this week, and I'm really sad that Kevin's not here to talk about it. But the biggest one we got was we had the official main trailer for Street Fighter came out. Honestly, I don't think it looks that good. I'm more excited for the Mortal Kombat 2 movie than I am for Street Fighter, but that's just because I'm a Mortal Kombat fan over a Street Fighter fan. We'll see if Street Fighter's any good. I'm still planning on seeing it in theaters because I think it looks at least a little interesting visually. So maybe it'll have that going for it. Like I mentioned, we also did get the Evil Dead Burn trailer, which was very short, but very interesting. The Dog Stars is the new film from Ridley Scott, which got a trailer at CinemaCon, and we now got to see it online, a post-apocalyptic movie. Clayface got its first trailer today, and oh man, does this movie look good. It is the next DC Studios film, so it's going to be in the same universe as Superman and Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow, but it is a body horror movie about the character Clayface, and my god, it looks good. It looks creepy. The practical effects and everything look great. There's a part where he rubs his face and his face just like melts down. Oh, it looks great. Practical Magic 2 finally got a trailer, which I haven't seen the first one, but it looks definitely nostalgic. Coyote vs. Acme finally got its first trailer, and I gotta say, the movie looks pretty darn good. So cannot wait for that. Then finally, we got Focker-in-Law, which came out as with CinemaCon as well. Was worried about that one. Wasn't sure we needed that movie, but the trailer actually makes it look pretty good. So maybe you'll be checking that out when that comes out in theaters. But we had a bunch of other smaller trailers that come out as well. But I would say the best trailer that came out this week is probably either Clayface or Coyote vs. Acme, if I had to choose one. So, let's see here. Them using the game voices for the Street Fighter trailer felt like they were trying too hard. I don't know. I mean, there could be an in-universe explanation for it. The only thing I can kind of think of is the Mortal Kombat movies have it too. Like the "Get over here" is Ed Boon's voice. It's the same. But I think that if they can have an in-universe explanation for why those voices are there, or if they're going for a super hyper-stylized kind of look, kind of like Scott Pilgrim, I feel like it kind of complements that as well. So that part didn't really bug me. It's just that the whole look, some of the casting decisions, that was really the thing that's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. But hey, totally valid comment, though. Alrighty, that's going to bring us to the box office. And no surprise here, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, still holding first place at $36.5 million. Most likely going to hit $1 billion this year and be the first movie to hit $1 billion. In second place, Project Hail Mary with $20.5 million. No surprise there. Still one of the best movies of the year. Lee Cronin's The Mummy debuting in third place with $13.5 million. Had some middle-of-the-road reviews, so I'm actually surprised it's up this high. The Drama holding steady at $4.8 million. And You, Me, and Tuscany rounding up the top five at $3.9 million. So all around, I mean, pretty unavoidable, expected weekend. So nothing really too crazy here. All right, let me grab a drink real quick. Excuse me. Oh, it's already been a long day. All righty. So next up, let's talk about the movies that are coming out this weekend. And up first, one of the biggest movie releases probably of this half of the year, which is Michael. It's the story of the famous musician Michael Jackson, known as the King of Pop. And man, this movie is getting torn apart by critics, which I kind of expected. It currently has a 38 on Metacritic. The audience scores seem to be a little bit higher right now, but across the board, it seems like the movie is just not really paying due diligence to the history of the character and kind of what he went through. It's a lot of people are saying that it's just like a music playlist, recreations, and not really much of a plot. So I don't know. Have to see for yourself if you want to go see this movie when it comes out, but I think it looked okay, but we'll see when it actually releases. Second is Desert Warrior. An honorable and mysterious rogue known as Hanzala makes himself an enemy of the Emperor Kisra after he helps a fugitive king and princess in the desert. This looks like a historical epic, kind of in the line of something like Ben-Hur or Lawrence of Arabia type scale, but definitely a smaller production company. Reviews, there's not too many of them right now. There are a couple of critics' reviews. Looks like nothing too crazy, but we'll probably get some more reviews as we get closer to Friday. Up third is I Swear. John Davidson, diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome at a young age, which alienated him from his peers, he struggled with a condition that few people had witnessed. This movie was a BAFTA success. It was also controversial because of the person that the film is based off of shouted slurs at black winners. It was a bad look, but he has Tourette's. It makes sense that it happens. Reviews are very good for this movie. It's one of the highest rated movies on IMDb, which is very interesting. I didn't think it was going to be that highly reviewed, but it seems like audiences really like this movie, and it'll be available in theaters starting this weekend. And lastly is Omaha, which was a Sundance Film Festival premiere. A father conceals the truth about his family's seemingly spontaneous cross-country road trip. This stars John Magaro, who was in Past Lives, which Kevin and I covered on Movie Club maybe back in February. Excuse me. But haven't really seen anything for this. Reviews seem to be, your decent kind of indie drama type reviews. Got about 76 on Metacritic. So if you want to check it out, make sure you watch the trailer first, and then you'll be good to go. But that is going to be it for the kind of scheduled part of the show. So we'll go ahead, and Kevin's not here, so I don't know if we should do Flickle. It doesn't feel right to do it without him. I don't know. It doesn't really feel right. We'll get that next week. But let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the movie reviews part of the show. Excuse me. So I watched movies outside the wheel spin. Kevin only logged his wheel spin movies. So I will go over those when we get to the wheel spin stuff. But let's go ahead and talk about the movies that I watched this week, because we're going to start with one that is crazy. Hey, look at that. Another bot comment on Twitch. Shout out to Ramshackle Child Hoodie. All right. Weird name. All right. So the first movie I watched during this week is Super Mario Brothers from 1993. Watched this with my roommates because they went and saw the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie, and then they're like, you guys want to watch the 93 one? Which was a mistake. Look, I'm surprised this score is as high as it is. This movie is bad. It's really bad, and I feel sorry for everyone involved, and I hope they all got better work afterwards. However, I think this movie is still more enjoyable than the recent Mario movies. I think that this movie, at least, it fails, but it at least takes chances, and it tries to do something new with the game's story. This came out in the 90s when there really wasn't a story for them to go off of. Mario was just called Mario Mario, and Luigi was Luigi Mario. Hell, the main woman in this movie isn't even named Peach. Like, this is before anything was really established lore-wise. So they had nothing to go off of. So they just kind of made this insane story about parallel dimensions and dinosaurs and stuff. But the film also has some really good practical effects, specifically Yoshi, who is just like a little baby raptor in this movie. And he looks pretty great. I would kill for Yoshi. And I applaud it for trying to do something different. However, the performances are bad. The only one that I would really enjoy was Dennis Hopper, who played King Koopa, or Bowser, as we know him. He's hysterical, and he's clearly just there for the money, but he's enjoying it, which is kind of odd. I don't know why they decided to go all Blade Runner-y with the Koopa world. It doesn't really work visually or aesthetically for a Mario movie, but at least looks good quality-wise. The pacing is bad. It's way too long, and the characters are just not fun to watch. It's fun to watch it, though, and say how bad it is. Like, to point out the bad things. I was watching this with my roommates, and every time something bad would happen, I would just, like, look over and stare at my roommate, who wouldn't stop giggling. It was a great time to watch it, knowing how bad it was. And while the recent Mario movies clearly have fans making them, and it kind of pays attention to that universe, this one has people with talent involved. I mean, obviously, the Illumination ones do it well, but this one, I don't know, it at least tries to do something different, and that's all I can say about it, really. But moving on, continuing my April month-long look at Oscar films, we have Midnight Cowboy, which is the Best Picture winner of 1970. And it's crazy to think that this was one of the first X-rated films, and was the only X-rated movie to ever win the Best Picture Oscar. It's a fascinating film, and I love how it kind of shows the misconceptions that we give ourselves about what things that we want. In particular, John Voight's character is a person from Texas who wants to move to the big city of New York to score with women and be popular and all that. And when he gets there, he gets all those illusions shattered. He's taken advantage of. You know, he experiences everything that you don't see about a big city or life like that. And I love that. The John Voight, for all his personal problems, I may not like him necessarily as a person, but he's a great actor, and he's fantastic here. He's playing someone who's so wide-eyed and ready to experience New York, and then just has all that come crashing down. He's great. His chemistry with Dustin Hoffman's absolutely wonderful, and Hoffman himself is also likewise incredible here. And it feels so radically different from anything I've seen from the 60s, and I think that's why I liked it as much as I did. I do think it feels a tad long at points. There's definitely some times where you're like, okay, let's pick up the pace a little bit. But other than that, when the duo gets together, it keeps going, and it's very good. So 91 out of 100 on that one. Up next was the Oscar winner from 1956, a movie called Marty. And as a single person who has everyone around him in a relationship, I connected with Marty on a spiritual level, I gotta say. It's a charming film, and it's one of the most charming Best Picture movies I think I've ever seen, because it's not super serious. It's not a drama or like a black comedy or anything like that. It is just about a man who is single, and everyone's around him is trying to get him to get married and all that. And he ends up meeting someone who he actually falls for, and she falls for him, and they really enjoy each other. And when they actually, when he starts talking about how he actually met someone, everyone around him's like, oh, well, not that person. She's not pretty enough. Oh, she's too old or whatever. And he ends up choosing love. And I really, really enjoyed that about this movie. Ernest Borgnine is wonderful, and as is Betsy Blair, who play the two main characters. The way they bring up pent-up emotion and frustration is, given their circumstances, is absolutely wonderful. And it's just a heartwarming movie. Like, if there's anything wrong with it, I wanted more of them. There's a good chunk of this movie, like 20, 30 minutes, where they're together and they're talking and they're really starting to get to know each other. And the rest of the movie, they're not really around each other. And so that was kind of frustrating. I wanted to see more of them together. But I'm also just a little uncertain why this won Best Picture over far better movies that came out that year, like Night of the Hunter and Bad Day at Black Rock. And neither of those were even nominated. So very frustrating there, but still a very good movie. And a nice change of pace in terms of kind of genre and tone from what I had been seeing. Alrighty. And next up was Dances with Wolves, the Best Picture winner of 1991. And this movie is gorgeous. An incredible looking movie. It's well made. It's well performed, but it is boring. it's a slog. It's in that way, it's kind of frustrating, right? It's clear that Costner has this admiration for the West and for that period of American history, and he has an admiration for the Sioux Nation as well, which is the Native American group in the film. It's got some really great performances. I, in particular, love Graham Greene's character, who plays the chief of the Sioux tribe that he kind of becomes a part of. The film flows decently, but I definitely think it struggles with the weight of its ambition sometimes. It feels a little bit too heavy and needs a little bit of trimming. And I think like it is a long film, but that's not necessarily the problem. It's just the fact that you feel that it's too long. Some people don't feel it. I do. It just kind of, especially in the second act, it feels a little too weighty. In addition, Kevin Costner has narration through the entire movie that sounds like he's just consistently bored, and so it makes me kind of bored. But the biggest problem with the movie is, like Avatar, like Pocahontas, like I guess maybe Ferngully, it's a white savior movie. It's the white person getting brought into a native tribe and then being the savior of all their plights. Luckily in this movie, they don't necessarily go more that savior path, but it does take that route, and it is kind of annoying. But it's not as bad as other films, I would say. It's one of the better ones that has a white savior complex to it, but it's just nothing truly special. It's a gorgeous movie, but that's really about it. Likewise, we have the 1986 Best Picture winner, Out of Africa, which I remember watching this in high school somewhere, and I thought it was boring then, and I was hoping that would change now with my kind of, master's school stuff and my love of film kind of growing, or far grown from where it was. But this movie's just, it's so boring. While Dances with Wolves was stunning in terms of its presentation and how it looked, this movie is just, it's more nuanced in terms of how it portrays love and relationships, which is nice. That kind of personal, emotional level is better. And when it focuses on Meryl Streep and Robert Redford, it's spectacular. But when it turns its eyes to Africa in kind of the way that it romanticizes colonialism and kind of the divvying up of Africa, it's a lot more complicated. But the biggest problem in the movie is it's boring. This movie just is overlong. You feel the weight, and nothing really happens of note. It's just a boring slog. It's paced slowly, and it's just dull. It's hard not to care, though, when Streep and Redford aren't on the screen. When they're together and it's their relationship and what they're going through, it's fantastic. But it's just hard to care about it when that's not happening. And then, like I said, the way that it kind of makes colonialism kind of feel like it was a good thing really rubs you the wrong way. The film occasionally looks good, but I wouldn't say it's anything to write home about. I think Pollock is good at directing it here, but just hampered by a script that it seems hard to care about. And I would say that's kind of the big thing with me, was it's hard to care about this movie in any way. It's okay, just not as good as I was hoping I was going to find it after years of not watching. But let's talk about a long film that is actually very good, which is Ben-Hur, the Best Picture winner of 1960. And holy moly, is this film epic, literally. Ben-Hur is the type of film that all epics are measured against. This is a nearly 4-hour long biblical period epic, kind of set within Roman, and I believe this takes place in Palestine and the areas around it. The historical setting is so well captured by the production team here. The chariot sequence alone is jaw-dropping, and I hope I get the chance to see it in theaters soon. I know Fathom Events is doing something for it. And the performances are incredible, and I think that Charlton Heston, who won an Oscar for this movie, is among the best parts of this film. I really like the story because it's personal as much as it is epic. It's this large-scale historical film, but the story is about one man's journey to get revenge, which then turns into a spiritual awakening where he then is able to forgive and, finds religion or finds God or whatever you want to say. And while I don't necessarily connect with the religious themes, as none of the biblical stuff, actually happened, I found so much of the historical aspects more fascinating. The production design, again, nails a look, and, Even though it's all white people, that's the '60s for you. It wouldn't have been a single white person there, probably. But William Wyler has crafted a towering epic of staggering proportions, only matched by films like Return of the King or Lawrence of Arabia. It's one of the best films produced by Hollywood, and this is one of those movies you think of when you think classic Hollywood and the magic of the studio system. It's dripping with expertise and craft, and I think if you love film, it's a must-watch. Even though the length can get a little trying at sometimes, which is understandable, you could break it up into 2 watchings, kind of split it down the middle, and you'll get everything out of it. But it is absolutely fantastic. Another great film, too, and the last one I'll get to before our wheel spins, is the 1962 Best Picture winner, which is West Side Story. Now, I have only seen the Steven Spielberg version of the film, the remake from 2023 or 2022 or whatever. And this movie feels iconic. It has like that kind of mythic status to it. The songs are catchy, they're memorable, the production design is stellar, the choreography is truly wonderful, and the performances are great. Like, everyone involved in the production is operating on such a high level at this movie, and it makes the film quite literally leap off of the screen. My only big criticism with this movie is the pacing. I do feel like this movie is trying to feel way larger than it should be. And there's a lot of times where they could have trimmed stuff down. There's a big dance sequence in the beginning with not a lot of dialogue, and it's not necessary. It could have been trimmed down. It could have been shortened. And it just kind of continues to run on at some points. But it's that slower pace that kind of shocked me, as I feel like the Spielberg one was a little bit more frenetic. And also this movie uses brown face, which, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against the movie. It's just like, why? They literally cast a well-known like Latina actress, Rita Moreno. Why couldn't they get more people? I don't know. Anyhow, it's not nearly enough to make this movie bad in any way. It's a fantastic musical version of Romeo and Juliet. If you've never seen West Side Story in any version, I would probably start with this one. This is the iconic one. This is the one that everyone truly seems to love. And I think it's a really good time, and it's really exceedingly well made. So, really enjoyed this one. 89 out of 100. Alrighty. But we've had some comments come in before we'll get to those before we get to the wheel spin stuff. It didn't help that the directors were both terrible. That movie is crap except for one thing, and that's the adorable Bomb-Omb. Okay, for Super Mario. I was like, I don't remember a Bomb-Omb in West Side Story. I think the only thing that the directors were known for was like the Max Headroom thing before that, which, I mean, Max Headroom's cool, but that's not enough to say, hey, make a movie. So, let's see here. Kevin's in the chat. Kevin, I hope you're feeling better. It's okay if you're not here. We need you to get better. I mean, the concert was pushing it yesterday. And then 2021 for West Side Story. Yeah, no worries. And I don't know why you're comparing Coyote versus Acme to Airplane. They're completely different films. But alrighty. Let's go ahead and talk about the wheel spin movies. Let's go ahead and do Kevin's short first. So Kevin watched the short Putty Tat Trouble from 1951, and he gave it an 84, saying that the animation was really good and the story was really fun as well. Like the two cats in the... sometimes Kevin, sometimes your grammar, I need to give it a minute. But likes the two cats and liked how they were fighting over Tweety. But the birds would not be in the snow, they'd go south for winter. Good point. But Kevin gives it an 84 out of 100. And my short was Toy Tinkers from 1975, which was a cute short with some fun moments, but I think the repeated gag of the phone just felt a little off. I thought for some time this was supposed to be like a World War II short because of all the kind of war-related content, but nope. Excuse me. But yeah, good animation and a fun time. Ugh. Excuse me. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get into... Sorry, I had something go down my throat. Kevin's movie, which is the one that I chose for him, which is Bad Day at Black Rock, which Kevin ended up giving a 97 out of 100, saying the intensity in this movie is palpable. I had so many questions about why everyone in this town was so shady, but the reveal is worth the wait, even though the movie is perfectly paced with no extra unnecessary items. Really like the scenery in this movie as well. It feels like the place that no one will find you if something bad happens. And that's what makes the movie even better. Glad to see Kevin really enjoyed it. This is a movie I highly recommend. It's only going to be on Criterion for the remainder of the month. So if you have Criterion channel, you can watch it there. And you can also watch the highly acclaimed commentary track. There's a commentary version. Alrighty, and that's going to bring me to my film, which I believe was a Nadia pick off of the wheel, which is Wrong Turn from 2003. And I was surprised at how this wasn't terrible. Because it's not great, but it's not necessarily bad either. Wrong Turn, or as I've been told, the good one, is a mixed bag, but it has some pretty positive elements. I do really like the pacing of this movie. It moves, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's well-paced, and it's well-executed in that regard. The villains are not the focus, and I like that. I know they become main characters later, but in this film, they feel like a threat. They're kept up into the shadows. They don't really, they're not really on screen too much. It uses the less is more approach. It kind of uses that Jaws type thing with the shark, where you keep it until it's absolutely necessary. And I think that was really well done. In addition, I do feel like it was an homage to classic slasher movies like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Definitely feels like those movies just kind of brought into the 2000s. And I mean that in a positive way. However, I do think the movie is a little too reliant on cliches and tropes like jump scares and just your typical horror shenanigans. But the film's characters are so thin that they're paper, and they're so boring that it might as well be a wall of paint drying as far as characters go. You do not care about any of them. And you're legitimately having no investment in any of them, and no character death feels like it has any weight. And sure, it has some fun kills. I did enjoy the kills in this movie, and the practical effects are pretty good, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good movie. It's one aspect of a good movie. It's got some great aspects, but I think that the film itself feels pretty routine, pretty formulaic, but it is better than I thought it was going to be. And that was the same with There's Something Wrong with the Children last week. And I love these pleasant surprises I've been getting with horror films. So certainly a mixed bag, not my favorite thing in the world, but better than I was expecting. Alrighty. Whew, that was a lot of talking. So let's go ahead and get to our favorite part of the show, which I got to get it pulled up here, which is the wheel. So we're going to get the wheel pulled up here, which I can't ask Kevin what the wheel does. So the wheel is a thing where we put all these titles into a list, and I click the button, and it makes the wheel go around and around and around and around for a set amount of time. At the end of that set amount of time, that little gray triangle that's kind of the pointer will land on something at random, and whatever that thing is, we will then have to watch it. That may have been the most long-winded explanation I think I've ever given. But if you have any suggestions, we can go ahead and work them in. Like Joey has some shorts for us, which is awesome, because I think our shorts were running a little low. So let's see here. We have Jerky Turkey from 1945. Oops, not Jerry. Jerky. We've also got Cellbound from 1955. We've got To Catch a Woodpecker from 1957. And then Red's Dream from 1987. So those are shorts. If anyone else has any as far as feature films or shorts, please go ahead and let me know. We'll give about another 30 seconds to a minute or so. I got a horror movie last week, so I'm kind of down for anything. And if I land on something that's Kevin's pick, I think Kevin's still in chat. Kevin, if you're in chat, let me know. If it lands on your pick for me, you can just pick something for me. If not, then, we'll just skip it over and I'll respin it. But I will take notes for you, Kevin, on what you're going to watch for next week. Excuse me. Give it about another couple minutes here. Kevin's still here. Awesome. All righty. Do-do-do. Okie dokie. All right. All right. No other suggestions, so we'll go ahead and shuffle this bad boy up. Kevin, we're going to get you your short. So Kevin's short this week is... Looks like it's going to be my pick for Kevin this week. I'm going to go ahead and look at these shorts. Let's see here. I'm going to pick a good short for you. Not that you've been watching bad ones. I just don't want to pick one that's like bad. Let's see here. I'm going to make Kevin watch... Kevin, you're going to watch Piper. Piper from 2016. It is a Pixar short on Disney+. Alrighty. So, that's Kevin's pick. I'm going to close that and shuffle it up. Piper is the one with the little bird on the beach. It's adorable. You gotta be kidding me. Alrighty, well, it is our picks for each other this week when it comes to shorts. So, Kevin, if you want to go find a short of some kind, let me know. Just put it in the chat, and I will add it to the sheet. So we'll go ahead and save the Wheel of Shorts, and we'll go to the Wheel of Movies. So we go ahead and shuffle this up here real quick, and we'll get Kevin's feature-length film. We already got a person's pick for the other, so if it lands on my pick for Kevin, I will respin it. And Kevin can't pick for himself. Man, that is all we're getting today. And I reduced the numbers. I have no idea what the odds are, Joey. I really don't know what the odds are. I mean, the Wheel of Shorts is a smaller list, but there's a smaller amount of the picking it for each other on there. So I don't even want to know. Alrighty. And Kevin's movie will be Baghead, which I believe is a horror movie. Let me go ahead. Oops. Let's see here. All right. Baghead is a 2023 horror film, which is on Shudder. So I will go ahead and add that to your list, Kevin. All righty. Kevin says the short for me is going to be Home on the Rails from 1981. Let me make sure I haven't seen it. Wow, I have never even heard of this one before. All right, well, I will watch that as my short. And going back to the wheel, we're going to go ahead and remove Baghead, shuffle it up, and spin it. Reminder, if it lands on Kevin's pick for me, we already did that for the shorts. And I think that will be the rule going forward, is you can only get it one way. Like it just landed on. What is the actual... what are the chances? Okay. Reshuffle. Alrighty. Let's go. Come on. Scrooged from 1988. Really watching that out of season. That's really funny. And it's not available on anything, which means that I'm going to have to rent it, which is no big deal. So I will get that added to my list here. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and save that real quick. Alrighty. So, let me go back to my regular thing there. All right. So for the wheel spins this week, Kevin has been chosen to watch the short Piper from 2016, the Disney Pixar animated short, and we'll be watching the 2023 horror film Baghead for his feature-length film. For myself, I'll be watching the short Home on the Rails, as well as the 1988 Christmas movie Scrooge for my feature-length film. So that's going to be it for the show this week. I know it was a little bit quicker than usual, but it is just me today. As you can see, Kevin is not here. Everyone wish Kevin a speedy recovery, as he's not feeling well. Kevin, hope you're doing well, and hopefully we'll be able to get our movie club done tomorrow, so we'll have it out on Friday. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Of course, we do have our new episode of Movie Club that will be coming out tomorrow, which hopefully, which will be on our last Best Picture winner for the month, which is going to be Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, which we'll be checking out on Movie Club on Friday. And then, obviously, this live stream goes live every single week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Cannot wait to continue to do this with you. I am in the last 2 or 3 weeks of my schooling right now. So actually, I think everything's going to be done by this weekend. So at least all the homework I have to do. So, not next week, but the week after will be the first post-Masters live stream. So that's going to be awesome. But thank you, everyone, for joining us as usual. And until next time, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen. Have a good night, everyone.